How you
How are
doing?
you?
Yeah,
What can I do for you?
you guys handle the public when people are in violation of public records requests? I know I
Yeah, to
came
a
here
certain
before.
degree.
So who's in charge of this office?
That'd be me.
All right, so I called up here and had a problem with getting public records from a lot of entities.
Okay.
One of your employees said it's pretty much my fault because I go into these buildings recording. So I'd like to have a discussion with you about that.
Yeah. Sure. Let's. Yeah. Come into my office.
I mean, he was
Just
actually
give me a second here.
he was actually laughing about it, so I don't find that very funny.
Yeah. Let's go to my office. We're just doing a little house cleaning, but.
Yeah, I got you. Actually, it kind of looks like
Let's
a
see.
house in here. So,
I got a meeting in 14 minutes at 2 o'clock, but
I mean, it'll be quick because I mean, honestly, I don't know who it was, but so basically, let me tell you what I've been doing. So I've been going around trying to get public records, even though I'm going through an ongoing trial court case
What
where
kind of trial?
while I was unlawfully arrested for videoing in a public building.
For what?
For videoing in a public building,
Okay.
basically a post office.
Sure.
So throughout my trial, I've been trying to go to the police department,
Mm-hmm.
the court clerk's office. It's a CJC building.
Okay. Is
Uh,
that the one here in Indianapolis?
yeah.
Okay.
And so I've been to the state police office because that was another arrest from me videoing inside the state capitol building.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I've actually talked to who's supposed to be the records clerk there, Brian Millard.
Is that state police?
Yep, state police. He's a lieutenant. Brian Millard, supposed to be in charge of records.
Okay.
Wouldn't give me a public records request form. So I said, well, just give me a blank piece of paper. That'll suffice if I write it out on that. He wouldn't do that, so I used my own paper, wrote one out. They refused to take it. He refused to let the lady working the desk print me out a public records request. So I submitted one and just set it on her desk and videoed it and said, there's my public records request. So what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to get background information on all these officers involved in my cases. I mean, I want to see if they're on the Brady list, if they've got prior civil rights violations that they've been involved in,
Mm-hmm.
their salaries, length of employment, arrest records, all the good stuff. Basically public information. And they've all denied my public records request. Nobody, the IMPD, state police, the sheriff's department trespassed me out of the court clerk's office where they denied my public record request. So sure, I could get all this stuff through discovery, but what about these cases I'm going to be involved in where the officers are violating me on the street and I'm not going to have a judge to request discovery through? So I'm trying to get these people on board with the APRA law and nobody's in compliance of it. So I call here and your employee says, well, I've seen those videos. You guys go in there and you start trouble and you guys deserve it and laughing about it, thinks it's funny. So I went off on him and he hung up. I mean, actually he stayed on the phone for a little bit because I think he kind of liked the fact that he pissed me off. So he stayed on the phone for a little bit listening to it and then hung up. But I mean, if you guys are in charge of making sure these entities are doing their job and doing what they're supposed to do, what the law says they're supposed to do, I don't understand when somebody calls you about an ongoing problem. I've been dealing with this since May, and an employee laughs about it and says it's my fault. I mean, how is it my fault when I'm just trying to get public records to these? And I've already found out that one of the officers that unlawfully arrested me because of his attitude, because I called him a dumb fuck and a piece of shit. But I mean, those are the records I was looking for, stuff like that. And this is the man that ordered my arrest.
So as you know, if you're familiar with the Public Records Act, I'm going to send you home with one of these as well.
Yeah,
So when it comes to personnel records of public employees,
yeah,
you
I've
can
got
get
one of those. I've got a book.
Okay, great.
I mean, I appreciate it, but I've been here before, so.
There are about 10 or 11 different pieces of information that you're absolutely entitled to, without question, when it comes to personnel records of public employees.
Yeah.
You can get things like name, compensation, business address, business telephone number, all that kind of information. But then also, when it comes to disciplinary action, you can get what's called a factual basis for anything, any type of discipline that led to demotion, suspension, or discharge, involuntary discharge, it's fired.
Yeah.
So you can get the factual basis for all of that.
Yeah.
Now, anything less than that, if it did not rise to that level, it was just a reprimand or a note in the personnel file, kind of slapping them on the wrist a little bit. That kind of stuff they could legally withhold. But anything beyond that, you would be entitled to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Had they granted me my request, I would have seen where the officer was involved in that case.
And you can ask by individual name. So you had an interaction with Officer Friendly. You go into the station and say, hey, I want all the disciplinary action that led to suspension, demotion, or discharge for Officer Friendly. You get that. The one guardrail on there is that you can't ask for groups of employees en masse all at once. You have to be specific by name. So I'm not saying that's what you're running into, but if you are, just note that there is a prohibition on that. It's right there in the personnel records statute right at the very end.
Well, I mean, I don't see why. See, that's the whole thing. I mean, you got these little nuances in there. I mean, what's it matter if I say, I want everybody in this office's name, salaries, and any disciplinary history on anybody in this office? I mean, I don't
I can't
understand
speak
what's
to
the
the
matter.
General Assembly's intent when they promulgate.
I mean, if I can go around and say, can I get your name, can I get your name, can I get your name, and then write it all down instead of just saying, I want everybody in this office's name, salary, and any disciplinary history on anybody in this office. I mean, I've actually been contacted by the Sheriff's Department's attorney in regards to my public records request. My public records request should never extend over to an attorney. And then the attorney's telling me that I'm not particular enough because I requested surveillance footage from the court clerk's office and the Sheriff's Department between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. because 4 deputies were involved in trespass. 2 trespassed me out of the court clerk's office. And then when I went to go file complaints on the 2 deputies for unlawfully trespassing me from the court clerk's office, 2 more deputies show up, and all 4 of them trespassed me out of the Sheriff's Department office, where I couldn't file complaints on the deputies who just unlawfully trespassed me or do my public record request in the Sheriff's Department office either.
Yeah, 2 hours of video footage shouldn't be that big of a deal.
No, I mean, I gave them the date, and I gave them, like I said, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So that's the kind of thing, if you were to file a complaint about that, I could address. So we have a statutory formal complaint process.
Yeah.
And you can, anybody can file that complaint, it's free. And so then we do the heavy lifting, we investigate why you were denied. And if you're unlawfully denied, we would issue a legal opinion to say, wait a minute, you're, public agency, you violated this individual's rights because you would be entitled to whatever you're seeking if, under the law you're entitled to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got everything on video. I mean, all my stuff is on video.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
so that's part of that process.
I don't have time to fill everything out now, but do you have the forms, or do you have online?
We put on that online. I mean, I can print you a copy, but
yeah, if you can print me a copy, because I mean, you see, I got this folder. I like to do everything. So if you can just give me 1 copy of it, I'll make copies of it myself, and because there's going to be a lot of departments.
Okay. I mean, whatever.
It's going to be the Sheriff's Department, State Police, the Court Clerk's Office, the IMPD, State Police.
No, I can't do anything about them not allowing you into the building or trespassing you.
No,
or
I
kicking you
understand
out
that.
or
This
anything
is
like
all
that.
in regards to public records request denial.
Okay. I mean, I can't guarantee I'll accept all of them either. I mean, I
Yeah,
have to
I mean, that's
scrutinize
fine.
your request as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Because there are some. This sounds antithetical to public access. It isn't, but there is a burden on the part of the requester to put a public records request together that meets certain expectations under the law. So it does have to be reasonably particular. It does have to be specific.
Right.
You can't just ask for everything all at once. So I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying that
No, I mean, it's
I'd have to look at it through that lens before I would accept a complaint. I just want to.
I mean, at the
Give it a
state
caveat.
police, there's only 2 officers. So getting 2 officers' information shouldn't be a big deal.
Sure. Yeah.
And the officer told me to go to the library and get the information.
Let me print out that form real quick.
And Millard, if he's supposed to be in charge of the records department and doesn't understand the APRA, I mean, what idiot put him in charge of the records department?
Do you just want the one form?
Yeah, I'll make copies of it.
I'm also going to print out a guide to filling out the form as well, just so you have access to it. What was your name again?
Bobby.
So here's the form itself. Here's the guide. There you go.
I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
And if you can find out who that employee is and, tell him to maybe be a little bit more considerate to the public. Since, that's how he gets paid, is by the public.
You got it.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yep. Fucking might have been him for all I know. Dirty bastard.